Hello everybody, Doug Berry here. Welcome to the Sierra region of California, Nevada. Today we're going to explore the Mineral County Museum. This is the Museum for Mineral County, Nevada, which is loaded with mining history. It should be fun.
How are you today?
I'm fine, Kelly. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Kellie Zuniga from Mineral County Museum. Please come on in.
Thank you. Well, we've got one classy lady from Hawthorne, Nevada, who's going to tell us all about the museum.
Mineral County Museum is supported by Mineral County, Nevada government 100%. At one time in 1979, a bunch of ladies got together and decided that Hawthorne needed a museum, so they started collecting artifacts, putting them together. First they were displaying them in a display case over at the convention center, and then they decided that they needed a building. So they did a lot of fundraisers, and they bought a building, which is this building right here, which is an old grocery store. They converted it into the museum, and they got all of their artifacts, got it in here. But then after a while, they decided that it was probably not sustainable, so they decided to talk Mineral County into supporting it, and so here we are today.
You come to the museum, don't forget to sign the guest register. Wow. Is this a real bald eagle, Kelly?
It's actually one of the smaller ones. This anchor right here was found in Walker Lake. It was actually belonged to the ferry boat that used to go across Walker Lake. They used to get it from the railroad that was on the east side of the lake. They'd go across to Dutch Creek, which is Ghost Town, and this was a ferry boat that went over to that town. At that time, there was no highway there. Dutch Creek was just a little small mining community that eventually turned into Barlow's Ranch. And there were several different people that owned it, but the Barlows ended up with it toward the end. But at one time, there was an interesting character out there. This woman owned it, and she was a serial killer. So it was kind of interesting that she would get married and she would feed her husband poison, and then eventually he would die, and then she'd get another one. And she eventually got caught. But if you want to know a lot more about that story, you need to read it in Sue Silver's Volume 2 book.
So what's really interesting for my viewers is that last summer I was actually working at the historic Dutch Creek Ranch, the Barlow Ranch, and the owner told me a few different interesting stories, and I never did see any bodies up there, but yeah, I worked where there was a serial killer. I was a little bit hesitant when I first started working there, but I had more problems with the bears getting in the orchard. One bear snuck up to me 8 feet behind me while I was playing guitar up at the pond up there. A really interesting collection of history books here. I bought this one a few months back, talking about Gabbs Valley, Nevada. There's Gabbs right there. There he is. And these are amazing history books.
And this one is Mineral County, Nevada. This one is Volume 2 from Sue Silver. She was a person who used to live here and actually work in this museum, and she wrote all of these books, well, at least 5 of them. And she has a section in here about Dutch Creek and a lot of the stories. So this is a good one if you're interested in the history of Dutch Creek and Barlow's Ranch. And
that's the one with the serial killer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Look at the size of some of these Lahontan cutthroat trout they used to catch out here back in the day. Now these Lahontan cutthroat trout are a special type of trout that can handle the high alkalinity in Walker Lake, Nevada. And so people used to catch these quite often. And there was a lot of stuff happening back in the day when the town was a little bit more booming and there was a lot more people working out here and so forth. So what are some of your memories, Kelly?
I remember when I was a kid, I was a teenager, and I used to work at the Cliff House out at Walker Lake, and I lived out there as well. I used to do dishes in the restaurant there, and the people that owned it, Boyd and Leona Jensen, they used to do something every single weekend to get people out there to their bar and to their restaurant. They would have boat races, they had beauty contests, they'd have fishing contests, anything they could think of. They had this one thing called a liar's race, which was just people making up all these crazy boats, and then they'd have a contest, and they had something going every single weekend. So it was a fun time during that time. People used to water ski every weekend. There was people all over the place down there. Okay, I have a photo of a map of Walker Lake showing its recession as the years go on, and it puts the years on here. And it comes up to almost close to this date, at least up to 2017 anyways. But you can see in 1863, the water was way back up in here, which was Schurz is up in this way. At one time, this was all like a duck pond and cattails and all that. And then it has, diminished over time. And now pretty much all of that is just, you're lucky if any of it's swampy at all. And then, of course, this was at, is further up, and the graveyard would have been about right here. So as time has gone on, this has changed quite a bit. But they're working on that. It's an alkaline lake. It's a remnant from the late Great Hawthorne ancient lake. It's got evaporation, has caused the dwindling of it and the use of water upstream, and of course drought. But at one time, this was a pretty cool lake here, maybe 40 years. This is our display on Cecil the Sea Serpent. He is our town mascot. There was a legend many years ago, started back with the Native Americans. They called him Tawaga, I believe. And they used to say that he would swim around in the lake, and he would they would tell their children, don't go out close to the lake because Cecil the Sea, at that time Tawaga, would eat you. So anyways, he kind of has evolved over time. There used to be sightings of Cecil the Sea Serpent, and Cecil got his name from a cartoon that was Cecil and Beanie back in, I think it was the 30s, something like that, and the name was adopted from Cecil the Sea Serpent from the cartoon. But there hasn't been any recent sightings, but it's very much a mascot here in Hawthorne. The kids use the Cecil the Sea Serpent, serpents, their mascots for the school. We have a big Cecil the Sea Serpent that goes in a float that we often put in different parades, and he's always in our Armed Forces Day parade. Okay,
an interesting story, when I was working up at the Dutch Creek ranch up there, the Barlow Ranch, the owner was telling me about there was a homestead about a half a mile away on the side of a mountain. Real rugged, big, heavy cabin up there. And anyway, they had an orchard, and they were making a go of it. And there was another neighbor about a quarter of a mile away who lived on the other side of the hill. And apparently he didn't like it when this fellow had to go into town and take his horse and buggy over a steep graded mountain to go by there, and he'd get shot at all the time. And it went on for years and years and years. So you think we got drama with neighbors, boy, it's been going on forever.
Bighorn sheep, we have them all over the place out here, particularly at Walker Lake, mostly out there.
Look at some of the other wildlife here we have in the area. Probably my favorite is the pronghorn antelope.
This is the original painting of the mural that is outside. Donna Peterson did the one that's outside. The one that's here in the museum was done in 1976, but I'm not absolutely sure who did it. But you can see in here, there's Cecil, the sea serpent. At one time he was green. They kind of fought over the years whether he should be black or green or yellow. But in this one, he's green. And then, of course, there's the county courthouse, and then there's the old railroad freight depot. And then we have a water tower in here, which is no longer here. They took that down quite a few years ago.
Isn't that the same sign that's over at the rest area in the park that says Hawthorne?
Yes, it is. It came off of the old Hawthorne Club. That's a picture of it right there.
This picture from the 1970s, how busy Hawthorne was back then. There's even a sign for El Capitan Casino. Look at these payroll records from Seven Troughs Gold Mines Company. And we have John Hall. He made $31 in 1930. Supply Department, United States Navy. Look at the detail of this postal service safe. Wow, amazing. Diebold safe and lock. Canton, Ohio. It's thick. It's getting cold out here. Is there any way we can fire up this wood stove, Kelly?
Well, I don't think that's a good idea. There's no piping in the top. These skis that you're looking at over here and over there were used at one time to, the guys that checked the electric poles would put those on and they would ski in between poles in the winter time. Can you imagine skiing with these? I mean, they had to wear their own boots. They put them on. And of course, they're incredibly long and they're not shaped or anything like what we're used to today. And they would ski in between the poles, and then they would climb up the pole, and then they'd come back down, put back on the skis, and then they'd go to the next pole.
Laundry day. That was a lot of work back in the days. They didn't have to worry about gas prices back then. They had to worry about fires. There's an ore cart. Wow, that's the biggest bellows I have ever seen. Blacksmith's bellows. Wow, look at these photographs from the past. What can you tell us, Kelly?
These are what we call the box photos. It was E.F. Box that did these in 1910. And this is just life around Hawthorne. They were, the bigger ones are of a parade. These smaller ones are not necessarily box photos, but they're all old. They've come from Dutch Creek, Candelaria, Lucky Boy, Rawhide, just different pictures of life in those days that people have donated over the years.
Rawhide, Nevada. Hey, all my subscribers in Las Vegas. Look at this picture I found from the 1930s. It's from Las Vegas. El Dorado days.
This is another one of E.F. Box's photos. I like this one because of, look at all these ladies in their heavy dresses, and they're all dressed, you know, real heavy, and then they're out at the beach in the water, floating around. I just think that's funny. This is a stamp mill that one of the Mineral County utilities workers many years ago came in here and put this in for us.
Look at this chair from Aurora, Nevada. You know, the writer Samuel Clemens, he was from Florida, Missouri, and he came out and I think he was working for his brother-in-law's newspaper in Carson City, and he was up in Virginia City. Of course, his pen name was Mark Twain, and he penned Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and he was out in Aurora for a while back in the day. Aurora, Nevada, about 1849. Kelly, what do we have here?
This is the Golden Key Pharmacy. It was actually here at one time. We've had the Botts ran it. There was actually two different pharmacists that ran it. It was passed down through the family. They came here in I think it was 1910, and then the son took it over, and he ran it for many, many years. And when he died, it closed up, and we ended up with a lot of the medicines. A lot of the medicines are still in the bottles. They say that you should take them out, but I don't.
So it's still good? I'm not feeling too well. Maybe I could try some.
Yeah, we'll go. I'll see what. The magnesium in the silica sand is what turns the bottles purple, and the iron oxide is what turns the turquoise colored ones.
All this saddle and tack in here. Got a branding iron. All kinds of bits, spurs, different types of barbed wire. Curtis 2-point, winner by Glidden. Oh, Glidden, 1874. Glidden, the people that still make the paint, before they invented the barbed wire, they used to use Osage orange hedge posts. I know in the Midwest before barbed wire came out. But Glidden invented the barbed wire. Native artifacts. Look at this. These bells were found by Robert Purcell and Charles Miller, buried in the ground about 15 miles south of Hawthorne. From their condition, it is believed that they were buried for around 100 years. Pre-digital technology. Rawhide, Nevada Mining Company.
We have a display here that's with fossils about the Stewart Valley and the New York Canyon, which is around this display. They're all found in that area. And a lot of people come in just to see that. Some of these come way back. You can see that some of these fossils are from, they're not in Ikassor Park. They're on the outside of it, which is close to Ikassor Park. So they were, found in that area.
That's up by Berlin, right?
Yes, it's right next door to Berlin and Ikassor Park. And then there's a canyon that's over there, and that's where all these fossils were found, in the canyon over next to it. Okay, and this is our rock collection. They're all marked. You can see what we have. We also have a smaller case over there of different kinds of rocks for all the rock hounds.
Over here?
Yep, right over, just keep walking to the right.
Oh.
And there's some more right there.
Look at the colors. Amazing. We sure have a lot of rock hounds in our area, don't we?
Yes, we do. This is a very popular area to come and find rocks. There are books out there about how you can, where the rocks are located, and how you can get some of them. And we do sell some rocks too over in our gift shop.
Here's a photograph of Hawthorne, Nevada in 1889, taken from the roof of the old courthouse. Okay, so if you're traveling through the area, there's a lot of different souvenirs, and if you've got young children with you too, there's a lot of affordable things that they'd be interested buying here. And the thing is, there's a park right across the street, and you could give the dog a break, a walk, and there's picnic tables and shade, and you could come across the street here and check out the museum. And like I said, a lot of affordable little things for the kids and so forth. So it's a good stop on your way from Las Vegas to Reno. Well, thank you, Kelly, for the tour of the Mineral County, Nevada Museum.
Okay, thanks for coming.